When's the last time you were surprised by a monitor? A beautiful big monitor like this one that doesn't look like all the other kids in the playground? Well, this is the BenQ EX2780Q, and it kind of checks off most of my boxes. It's a 27-inch monitor, which is one of my favorite sizes for gaming. When it gets a little bit bigger, I find it hard to focus on first-person shooters and stuff like that. So it's 27 inches, it's 1440p, and that's like my favorite pixel density ratio. Once you get up to 32 inches at 1440p, it gets a little bit weirder, and then 40 inches at 2K, no, gotta have 4K at that, but I really like the pixel density of this monitor. And it's also an IPS display, and the response time is 5 milliseconds, and it's 144 hertz as far as the refresh rate goes. So you have all those features combined to make a really pretty gaming monitor. And on top of that, there's also HDR and HDRI, and speakers. That's why I was surprised. I was like, okay, yeah, monitors have speakers. Most monitors these days have two little crappy speakers. No, this has 2.1. So you got a subwoofer in here. I want to say it sounds better than a monitor. It's still a monitor, and it's not going to compete with like, $100 desktop speakers. But if you just have like some little desktop speakers or something, it's going to make those things completely irrelevant, and it will have better sound and bass response than those. Plus, there's a bunch of different EQ modes that it comes with out of the box. So you can put it on like gaming mode or voice mode if you're wanting to hear like, the mid channel if you're watching a video or something like a lecture. That'd be good for your office. If you want it in like rock and pop mode, it's more of a classic V shape to give you a little bit more bass and sparkle on the top. It's not going to be as good as your headset. It's not going to be as good as your surround sound system, but it has extremely capable audio on board. All right, let's talk about HDR and HDRI for just a minute. So it has HDR, it's HDR 400. That's the Visa standard rating. Now, HDRI, this is some technology they have that will actually go into the scenes and brighten up some of the darker areas, give you better contrast, and that really can give you an advantage in games, you cheaters. If you're coming around the corner and there's someone hiding in a dark area, well, this will actually brighten up some of those highlights in that area, smooth out some of the shadows so it's not extremely just black and white contrasty, and allow you to see things possibly that you normally wouldn't see. And there's a few different settings for that. You can put in like cinema mode, standard mode, or even gaming mode, and just pick the one that you think looks the best, or you can just turn it off. That's always an option if you're someone who's like, no, I don't want that on. Well, that's fine. You can turn it off. You have options. That's a beautiful part of the world. Now, there's also some really interesting intelligent control going on with this monitor, and that's another thing that you get with this BenQ monitor in particular. So what it does is it will detect, there's a little sensor in here, and it'll detect what's going on with the ambient lighting situation, and it'll actually adjust the brightness and color of your monitor based upon what's happening in the room or in the scene. So that's something you can also use if you like, or disable if you don't like it. Speaking of blue light, they do have like the whole eye care package where it's anti-flicker, and also there's a low blue light mode. Now that's really going to affect your circadian rhythms the most later in the evening. Blue light can keep you awake longer. I know a lot of people are going to say that blue light is going to make you go blind, but that's not actually the scientific case. It's mostly just going to affect your circadian rhythm. So that's cool that they've also included some eye care with this monitor. So I mentioned the refresh rate earlier, and I did play a bunch of games on this with the 144 hertz refresh rate. If you're playing most of your games around 60 to 100 FPS, just leave it on 144 hertz. You're not going to notice much screen tearing or any of that nonsense where half the screen renders over here and half of it renders over here. That typically is fixed with VSync if you're someone who is new to this world, but VSync can add a little bit of stuttering. So this monitor also has FreeSync or adaptive sync, and that's going to work with most modern graphics card, not just AMD anymore. And that will allow you to have a silky smooth experience. It delivers the frame to the monitor, and then the monitor refreshes based upon the FPS in your game. So if your game's running at 80 FPS, then the monitor's going to run at 80 hertz. So it's a nice, smooth experience. If you're a professional gamer, you're probably just going to want to keep that off and use the 144 hertz to make sure there's no input lag or anything like that. You want everything just to happen as soon as it can. But those are all options for you guys. All right, let's talk about the inputs and some more of the technology that's built into the monitor. So we have HDMI 2.0, and we have two of those. We have a DisplayPort 1.4. We've got an audio jack, so if you wanted to just plug up your headphones directly to the monitor or plug up some speakers, you could do that. And we also have USB-C, and that can deliver power as well. So just one cable. It's going to be like a DisplayPort through USB-C, and that's all you need. Just plug it in and go. On the back we have a little knob, and it's like a joystick that allows you to change through things. There's a volume wheel on the front, and then they've also included a remote, and the remote will easily allow you to access many of the different features, turn on some of the eye health, and you can toggle through HDRI, and also you can toggle through your various EQ modes right here with the remote. So hey, what the hell? Why not? You got a remote. All right, so the sound is by a company called Trevolo. I'm not sure if that's the way you say it, but it sounds fancier when you say it with like an Italian accent. Trevolo. The different modes you have are game mode. Okay, I've got to read some of these marketing things. They're too good. Game mode. Enemies can't hide. Cinema. Mind-blowing realism. I've turned into Jesse the Body Ventura for this portion of the video. Cinema mode will turn you into a sexual Tyrannosaurus. Pop. Live mode. Picture perfect fidelity. Dialogue vocal. Crystal clear clarity. Say that 900 times fast or I'll whip your ass. All right, and then there's rock party mode. You guys get the idea. Marketing stuff is amazing, is it not? But it's cool that they've given us things that you don't normally get with other monitors unless you're not going to use it. In that case, just keep it off and hopefully the features will still match the price tag. All right, so the viewing angles, it's an IPS monitor, so it's 178. And then we also have a 1,000:1 contrast ratio. And I really like the fact that I've seen a lot of monitors come through lately, and some of them will cut corners. If you want to get a really fast monitor, you're probably going to have a TN panel. AHVA panels are less expensive, but this one's full-on IPS, so you get extremely good color, plus the HDR is going to also make sure that you have really nice color. 95% of the DCI-PC 3 color gamut, to be exact. It's also 10-bit color. On the back of this monitor, we have a really interesting area for cable routing. So the back compartment pops off and the cables will actually route through the center of the stand. And it makes it so that the cables are just managed, guys. That's all there is to it. It's freaking managed. Now the stand is minimalistic. It's a nice metal stand and it has an interesting footprint. It's this rectangular shape, so if you've got stuff you want to lay around there, make sure that this big bar in the front is going to have room on your desk. It's not large, so the only downside about the stand is that you only have tilt. You don't have swivel, pivot, swivel, or pivot. None of that stuff. Above that you have a 100mm Visa mount, so if you wanted to pop it off the monitor stand and mount it somewhere else, you can. Just good luck with that cable routing. I doubt it'll be as good as the monitor stand, but All right, as far as the weight goes, 5.93 kilograms. Tilt negative 5 to 20 degrees. All right, so do I recommend this monitor? You got a lot of features, you got a lot of quality, and it's really going to be about, do you want these features for this price tag? Because you can get a 27-inch gaming monitor with very similar features for a lower price, and we've seen some here in the studio for a lower price. They aren't IPS, they're HVA typically, or TN panels typically, so you're going to get slightly better color here, maybe, and depending on the circumstances, HDR, you're probably going to get a lot better color. HDRI is nice. A lot of the specifications are better than other monitors in this size and feature range, so it's like, do you want all these bells and whistles? And if you do, then that'll justify the price. Do you need the speakers? Like, I feel like the speakers are, it's something that I know that they're very excited about, and it sounds really good for a monitor, but are you actually going to be using speakers if you're playing games? I'm not going to use these speakers. I'm never going to use them. But if you're in an office environment, maybe you're going to use them, but who's going to pay this much money for a gaming monitor in an office environment? I feel like speakers on a monitor like this, I'm kind of scratching my head to figure out who's going to use this, so I want to know in the comments, does 2.1 on a monitor excite you? It's really cool and it works and it's great, but I'm never going to use it, so maybe that was a waste of money. I don't know. Anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments. This monitor is extremely solid, extremely high quality, and extremely beautiful, but it has a few features I'm not sure I'm going to use, so that's where I'm at with this. Otherwise, just don't use the features and get it, put it on your desk, and play beautiful games with beautiful color and a beautifully high refresh rate. All right, we'll see you guys later. Be sure to head over to epicpants.com and get one of these shirts, or else